Hey guys, it's Grizz again. So Jenna's been bugging me about getting a little video about this new rifle I've got done here. It's one I like to call the Black Max. I've done a few of these. My personal rifle actually is really similar to that one of my personal rifles. But she said she's been getting a lot of interest in the thing. We've made a few videos about had it at the machine shop, working up the barrel and doing some other things with it. Did some load testing, other things, but I thought I'd go through the rifle basically from stem to stern and kind of describe what we got going on and sort of an overview of what works. I've seen a lot of guys, hundreds of them, with every kind of despicable weapon you can imagine, and I've sort of figured out why people like to miss. And essentially I've got a philosophy about how we can kind of avoid that and the reasons people have trouble when hunting, and some of the things we do to sort of mitigate that. So what I'll do is I'll get on the other side of the camera and I'll go through the rifle and maybe both sides of it, and I'll kind of tell you why it's the way it is and why it's the best way to do it. So give me a sec. Okay guys, so here's the Black Max. I'll just give you an overview on it. A little bit of, well, not philosophy, but a little bit of the things that I've found to work well. And I do realize that some of you are going to probably call BS on what I'm saying, but I can promise you that I'm going to do my best to say things that are well tested and factual. So not a lot of opinion, just what I've seen in the real world from, you know, testing with different people and in the hunting world. So anyway, this is the Black Max. This rifle is a 300 Norma Magnum, which is a really well thought out cartridge design. It's probably right now it's probably one of the best for big game hunting. So where do we start? I like to borrow from the target shooting disciplines and kind of cater them to a hunting rifle. So what we can compromise on with regards to weight are some things like the stock and machining down the receivers a little bit to lose some weight there. Stuff like that. Where we can't compromise really is like on the barrel. So essentially we take it to a light varmint contour, which is pretty much where you can expect the gun to really shoot well. That contour seems to shoot really well, and if you go any lighter than a light varmint, they really usually do not shoot super well. And by well I mean essentially you beat the thing into submission with some good hand loads. You can make them shoot in one hole, more or less. So there's essentially no paper between the bullet holes. You can get that out of a light varmint. And generally speaking, with a lighter contour, you're not going to get that. You're just not. I've not been able to accomplish that. We don't do a lot of fluting or any fluting or anything like that because you're not going to get one hole shooter. It induces stress to the barrel, and I essentially dare you to find a target shooter that does that to their barrel. You're not gonna, because it's not good. It looks good, but in the real world it doesn't work. So we compromise the weight in the stock. This stock is £1.5 pounds. It's carbon fiber and magnesium, as lightweight as you can get a good fully adjustable stock to where the length of pull is good. Your eyes lined up with the scope, all that stuff's good. It's got an interface for a tripod and bipod, a good interface. This is about as light as you can get a stock that's going to do what you want. And we're using bat receivers. Bat's real well known in the bench rest world, and to a lesser extent in the F-class shooters use bat receivers, so they really know their stuff with regards to making super well thought out, designed, and accurately machined receivers. And that's as far as that's the next thing with regards to making a gun shoot. Once the barrel's top priority by far, and then the next thing is having a receiver that's just dead nuts perfect. and that's known for that. That's what they do. So the barrels we use, we get them from a gentleman that's really well known in the long range heavy bench rest world. You probably haven't heard of them before, but if you were in that loop, you would know who it was. This barrel's 32 inches, and the reason it's 32 inches is because we need to get the most ballistics out of it that we can. So this particular rifle, I would expect that if I had individual come hunting with me, and previously, you know, he was like most people, 400 or 500 yards is a really far shot. I would expect that I could take him before we actually started to hunt and do a little shakedown shoot. I could take him to a beach and put up a rock that, you know, as big as I don't know, say like a 6-pack of soda pop, a rock about that size. And I can assure you that at 1,000 yards, he would hit it every shot with this gun. If I had him set it up on the tripod or bipod and had a good rest and told him what to do, anybody that's a normal shot, not great or perfect form or any of that stuff, would be able to hit that. So essentially, this rifle's going to be in about 12-pound range unloaded. Now, and that's as light as I can make a gun that's really going to shoot well. So, back to the barrel. The reason the barrel's 32 inches is because we want to get the most we can get out of the caliber that we have. 300 Norma Magnum shoots between 85 and 95 grains of powder, and it really needs a long barrel. And I've tested them from, you know, real short out to, you know, really long. And essentially from 26 to 32, you make big jumps in performance. After 32, not so much. And below 26, you've got a completely different sort of gun. I mean, you've got like a, you know, woods gun. And that's not what I do. So anyway, when we build a rifle, we cater it to the individual that's going to shoot it. So it's fully adjustable to fit the guy running the bolt. The nut behind the bolt, the gun fits him perfectly. We're going to set this up so that when the person grabs the gun and opens his eyes, the scope is exactly perfect, eye relief, right height, everything's good. The length of pull is perfect. I put triggers that are adjustable for length, height, shoe type, shoe angle, everything. So the trigger is even going to fit the person's hand perfectly. And then most of the time we work up a hand load, and that's not an easy process. So from building the rifle, it takes basically an entire day to get a barrel set up in the lathe, trued and ready to go, and chambered. That's an entire day process. I would say that 6 hours is normal just to get a chamber punched in a barrel if you want it perfect. And the hand loading is similar. I know pretty much where to go, where to start, what may or may not work well. And there's a lot of different techniques that people do where they're looking for a node or whatever, and it's all pretty much nonsense because the sample size is too small. They'll shoot a couple shots at this charge weight, a couple shots at that charge weight, and so on and so forth. And they're looking for something that they're not going to find with, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shots. It's because the statistics tell you that you're not gonna prove anything with that. So we really work up a really good load that shoots really well. This particular load, if the extreme spread from shot to shot, I think on this was 2 feet per second, which is really good, ridiculously good actually. And I mean extreme spread, not standard deviation, which I consider to be cheating. But this is super consistent load. It shoots 1/4 inch groups, no tuner, no nothing. And there's ways to get your hand loads to shoot that well. And so when you get a rifle, you're going to have the spec'd out recipe for the ammunition. You're going to get a set of dies that are already tuned in to reload the thing. All your numbers brass sort, bullet sort, overall lengths, everything's going to be included, and it will shoot really well. Now, if you're not going to shoot hand loads, which it's a lot harder to do, I'll tend to put a tuner on the barrel so that we can kind of wrestle those groups into being really small with factory ammo. It's never going to be perfectly suited to the rifle, but it can be pretty damn good. We can usually, with the right kind of factory ammo and a good tuner on the barrel, we can get the groups into under half an inch, usually. I mean, we do. That's what it's going to shoot, probably about a half an inch. And with good tune hand loads, you're going to get one hole groups, and that's part of it. The other part is you're going to get your velocities are going to be exactly the same from shot to shot, essentially. And that's important when you start to shoot far. So, the rifle itself will shoot quarter-inch groups, and velocities are consistent. And what that means is that when you're shooting at an animal, your bullet's not going to perform right once it drops below a certain threshold in velocity. And normally, depending on the bullet, if you're choosing a bullet that is meant for the purpose, good long range, high BC bullet, those are good for down to at least 2,000 feet per second. That's kind of where I draw the line. So you want to maximize the range at which your bullet drops below 2,000 feet per second. And what that means, you're going to start with something that moves them fast from the get-go, and the barrel length and the cartridge and all that factor into that. And what happens if you drop below 2,000 feet per second is the bullets don't really perform like they're designed to perform. So they're not gonna mushroom out or open up or really get a good terminal ballistics are not there anymore. You can kind of fudge out a little bit with certain bullets, but generally speaking, if you pick 2,000 feet per second, that's where you can count on them working good, depending on the bullet. But I know which ones are good for that and which ones aren't. This one's shooting one of the A-tips, which is a super good, uniformly made, match style bullet that I know shot to shot is they're going to fly true, hit where you're aiming every time. You're not going to have anything weird or strange or impossible to measure because every bullet's different or anything like that. And I know that these will expand actually below 2,000, but with a 2,000 foot per second line in the sand, this particular rifle will do that out to about 1,200 yards and change. So with a different bullet, shorter barrel, if we picked a hunting bullet with a normal length barrel, you could take it down to half that. You'd be in the neighborhood of 600 or 700 yards is where you'd hit that 2,000 feet per second mark. And that's really far for a lot of shooters, but it's because they don't have the right setup, they don't have the right gun, they don't have the right ammunition, any of that stuff. So I can't tell you the number of times that people have shot a rifle that I built on a hunt with me, be it at the shakedown shoot the first day where we're just shooting targets and rocks and steel, and they tell me, man, that is by far the farthest shot I've ever made, and it wasn't hard. So that's what we're striving for. I've seen so many different people show up with so many different rifles and calibers and bullets and hundreds of different combinations, and I know what works and what doesn't work. So it's not surprising that I hear that, but that is the number one thing that I hear when somebody's shooting one of these rifles, that's twice as far as they've ever shot before, and it was really easy. So that's what we're going for. I want a gun that's going to shoot very forgivingly. Okay, it can't be hard to shoot. It's got to be easy to shoot. You got to be able to pick it up and shoot a normal, the kill zone on an animal-sized target. Past 1,000 yards should be not hard. Should be relatively easy. And if you can't do that, there's something wrong in your setup, which there always is, and it's usually something bad wrong. So anyway, this rifle has great ballistics, super lightweight. We didn't need a tuner on this one. I do use barrel tuners sometimes,
But if they don't need it, we don't want them. Good muzzle brake is mutually exclusive to a tuner generally. Um, the best tuner muzzle brakes don't mitigate recoil as well as a good muzzle brake without a tuner does. So if I can avoid it, I avoid it. So this rifle kicks moderate. Moderate. There's not much recoil. I can't say that you can watch the trace from you completely out to the target, you know, at 700-800 yards, but you won't be far off the target after the gun goes bang. It'll still be in the scope. So there's not a lot of recoil. There's no punishment or pain or hard jumping or anything like that. It's really pleasant to shoot. You know, I could compare it to other calibers, but I would fix the other calibers too, even if they were smaller, so it's kind of a moot point. The gun's got light recoil, and it's easy to shoot. There's not this is a purpose built for an individual that's coming hunting with us, and it was really nice because he kind of gave me free reign with the thing, so I didn't have to compromise on anything really. It's got the best components available. From the action and the stock and the barrel, all of it is absolutely top notch. To the reloading dies and the brass and the ammunition, the bullets, everything is perfect. We've got AI mags, Accuracy International mags are the best mags you can get. We're using those because we can load those cartridges out long and really do it right, correctly. So there's really not a lot that I would do different about this rifle. Like from the caliber to the setup and everything. Personally, I would probably make it a slightly heavier than it is because for my purposes it's a little bit light, but it really doesn't affect the shootability to any big degree. There is a point when your gun becomes so light that you just can't shoot it. And to be honest with you, you know, that's a trend lately. Light guns and long range precision shooting they're at odds with each other. So your lightweight gun is great and fine if you really and truly need it. But there's too many people that don't really and truly need it for the style of hunting they're doing, and yet they have them, and they're just making their life more difficult. So I can't recommend a really lightweight gun, but we can mitigate some of the weight in some areas without compromising the ballistic performance and the accuracy and all that stuff. And that's pretty much what we do. So right here you're looking at a 12-pound rifle that you could shoot a 1,000-yard F-class match with, and I don't know if it would win, but it would compete. Absolutely would compete well. So, yeah, I mean, the guns take a long time to set up right, and it takes a while to get all the components together, but once we're done, it's worth it. You'll have a gun that has the exact data you need. You'll have the program that you need to calculate your drops automatically. There's nothing complicated about it. You punch the yardage in and it tells you what to do, and it'll fit you. So anyway, that's the Black Max. That at the moment, this is kind of my number one build that I'm liking. I can't see really modifying it in any huge way, but as certain, you know, new things come out and I play with some things, I do tend to kind of tweak them a little bit as time goes on. But right now, you cannot get a better rifle with better components that'll do the job better in the real world for what we're looking for, and that's a good, clean kill with a great hunting rifle that maximizes the range at which you can do it. So there you go. I hope you guys enjoy it. Get a hold of Jana. She knows all about it too. But thanks for watching.